Jim moved into his tiny house 8 months ago. It was 2018 when he first came to a Fred's Tiny Houses workshop. He'd been doing a lot of research before then. It took him a few months in 2019 to finalise the designs, which we worked with him to do. And then it was in February of 2020 when he picked up his Fred's Tiny Houses trailer, which is a flat top 7.2 metre option C in terms of its width. So it's an asymmetrical design which allows for this awning to fold down so that in a transport mode it can be clipped in and transported along with the house. He worked with a builder to have this tiny house made and the result's beautiful. So in this tour we get to see all through the tiny house. He shows us all of the design considerations and the benefits of being able to stand up in his loft. And in the podcast we get to talk about his journey of what it was like to go through that process of coming to the decision to move into a tiny house, and the process of engaging a builder and all the design considerations that went into that. So be sure to check out that podcast as well. But now we're going to do the tour.
These are our steps to the loft. So they just slide out and then you just walk up them.
I love that. That is such a good design.
But yeah, I really learnt on the job, which is, I think, probably the best way to learn anyways.
Putting the bathroom wall in, it's like, oh, it's not quite lining up. And I'm like, yeah, that was my fault from the beginning.
What you see, hear, smell about each other, that just amplifies.
It's going to be way better when we start building every day.
So today's Candid Tiny House episode, we get to meet Jim, who's here in Victoria. That's why we get to visit him, and he's going to show us his awesome tiny house. Should we go inside?
Sure, Shannon.
Let's do it.
Come in. Up to you.
Thanks. Yes. This is so good. Look at all the light coming in.
It's great with the light, and I was really pleased that I went with that sort of shiplap of white paint job.
Yeah.
And with the number of windows, it really does flood
Yeah.
the place with
Yeah,
light.
I can see it.
And I'd done a lot of research before I decided on the style and the size of it.
Yeah.
Like this is 7.2,
Yeah.
which is perfect for me as a single person.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have that concept of flow. So I've got windows at one end, windows at the other end, and the big glass doors here, and windows on both sides. So down at the bottom level here, I've tried to get that sense of it flowing, so I've kept the same floor right through. I also put this storage area up above here too, which I'm really pleased I did, because it allows me to put all those sort of winter clothes and things that you would normally have to store anyway out of sight. And I did put in a couch here, but in retrospect I think I probably should have put in a return bench type thing that
Like
would
a
convert.
built-in one?
Yeah.
So you've got a split system. One of the things that Fred talks about being worried about is the vibration of the fan unit. So you don't feel it? That's
Not at all. Not at all.
That's
And
good.
I've also got the fan up here too, which has been good. So that's my heating and cooling. That works off my solar system.
But you can plug in as well, can't you? So that if...
I've got a use of power, mains power, as a backup.
Great.
Yeah. But mostly the solar work,
Carries you through?
Mostly carries me through.
That's great.
One of the things I'm really happy about is the cabinetry. I got a cabinet maker to make these drawers and the stairs, and I'm really happy. So these two drawers here are my pantry basically, and they're really deep. When you really start paring down things, you can fit, I think I'm fitting as much as I had in my previous home, basically just into these drawers. This is a caravan stove. It's an LPG stove. It's an Australian company, and I went to the factory in Melbourne and got this, and got it at a wholesale price, and it works really well. LPG oven and and gas tops. I was really happy that I was able to fit this little sort of towel rack there. It fits just perfectly, you know.
sure.
It would have been just wasted space, you know.
Yeah, no, it really makes sense to put your low things here, and then
Yeah.
you've got plenty of headspace.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I learnt the hard way that one design fault was that it just
You've got a stare in
perfectly
your
banged.
face.
So, and it was able to fit the fridge in, and when we did the measurements,
That is tight.
it is so perfectly fit. So I was worried that when we moved it, it wouldn't fit, but it does fit perfectly.
Oh, that's brilliant.
What I really like about this is it gives me plenty of space here, you know. Everything that I need for cooking is here and on one side,
Yeah.
and all my knives and things, and then when I turn, my prep space is on the other side, and I've got a huge amount of, for me, a huge amount of bench space to do my prep on, and my sink here, and these big windows, so I'm constantly looking out when I'm prepping or washing and whatever, and I really like that. So that's my north facing side here. These two sets of cupboards here are obviously my crockery and my glasses and things like that.
Yeah,
So
great.
plenty of space, and just the two here is the usual sort of bin and
Yeah, utility area.
utility area.
Yeah, great.
So I'm really happy about that.
Do you remember what your benchtop material is? It's not blackwood?
No, it's a sort of a combination Australian hardwood, native hardwood. But yeah, solid
as.
floor, solid bench tops. And these, of course, these are ply, and they're
Is that
really light.
12 mil?
12 mil. Yeah,
Yeah.
really nice.
Show me your
So this is the bathroom. You know, I'm quite happy with this in terms of the space. Of course, it's got the Nature's Head composting toilet, which is always the star of any tiny house. But I think they're wonderful. You know, the whole idea of the composting toilet, you know, just fits in with the whole ethos of tiny house living, really.
Yeah, it does.
So it fits in a washing machine
Yep.
and composting toilet, little
Little vanity.
vanity, and the shower stall, where we put in this sort of metal pan in the bottom.
Is this an aluminium?
Aluminium. This was a way of allowing us to have more height.
Yeah, because you've lowered it.
Because it's only a very thin profile.
Yeah.
And it works really well. I'm really pleased. And surprisingly, you have a lot of space there in there, you know.
That is, it's a huge shower.
Yeah.
So did you just go to a metal fabricator and have this specified?
Yeah, really quite cheap instead of tiling or other things that get a bit complicated.
And heavy.
And heavy, that was the other issue.
Yeah, great
And
job.
of course it's got the slide pocket door here. I put in a mirror at the back, a full-length mirror, which is really important.
It's nice to have one.
The thing we haven't mentioned is the lockers in the floor, which are fantastic. You know?
Oh, good.
I think it's one of the great design features of these trailers.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So that allows me to have all my linen and my pillows and everything, blankets, whatever, spares go there.
So that's the storage box. That storage box goes that way and that way.
Yeah,
doesn't
pretty
it?
much
Yeah.
the whole width, almost the whole width of the trailer, which is fabulous, you know.
heaps.
This is going to be sort of like my pantry. So I've got some wine there.
You've got some moat. That's great.
My plan is to have those sort of cafe blinds, those clear plastic blinds that you see in restaurants outside, so that I can use that more of outside for eating and preparing food as well if I want to with a barbecue. You know, it will actually literally double the living space by having those things.
Yeah.
This is really good because it's narrow and it allows the hand to grip right around it, you know. Gives you a lot of security.
Yeah, you've got a firm grasp.
And
You're
it
not-
also allows you to have more space coming up the stairs and down the stairs as well. And one of the things, of course, was to get the maths right, to get the rise and fall of the stairs working, to allow you to have headroom upstairs. I think it's worked really well.
Should we go upstairs? Because
Sure.
this is really like the coolest feature of your house. Look at this. And we can stand up. This is the best. Look at your view.
Oh, the views are just to die for. Sea, I can see
Have
the
you got the sea out
yeah,
here?
I can see the boats go past just
Oh,
in
you
the distance there.
Oh,
And I've got my animals to the left.
wow.
Right from the word go, I wanted to have a stand-up bedroom.
Yeah.
And I'd only ever seen one person in Queensland who came up with this concept of actually lifting the roof, a pop-up roof.
Yeah.
Because I really liked the idea of having the windows at the end as
Yeah.
well, flooding in the light.
Yeah.
And the way we did it was by getting two triangular pieces either side. This whole panel here comes out, same on the other side, comes out. Mm-hmm. The roof is temporarily just propped when you take those two out. This panel here is unscrewed, and this whole section again is lifted out.
Yeah, that whole window frame.
The roof then from here comes down to the same level as the other part of the roof, the sloping part.
Yeah.
And that then is legal to drive on the road. Setting this up might take two people, I don't know, a couple of hours to get it probably settled in and everything like that.
Yep.
Most tiny houses are registered as caravans and have to be compliant with height and width and weight and everything like that.
Yeah.
But really, there's no reason why you can't have this pop-up concept.
Totally.
As most people spend, usually are just staying in one place with their tiny house for long
Yeah, for
periods
years.
of time.
Yeah.
It allows me to have this extra room and as a living space even,
It's really like an upstairs level, isn't it?
It really is. So
fantastic.
So everything is
It's
in
jacket
here.
height.
It's in perfect jacket height. The only thing I would have done probably in the future is I would have had these as sliding doors. The other thing I think is really great is to have this barrier section here, which again allows me to have clothing boxes here, but also to have bookshelves and a proper shelf.
Plants, and the plants would just love it
Yep.
here.
Yep. So this is the highest point of the tiny house. The heat rises up and comes out through these windows here, and I have side ventilation here as well. So it's blowing the hot air out, and it works. It's working really well.
That's so good.
I keep these windows, ajar or slightly open all the time, and it just gives that fresh flow of air right through the tiny house.
Right.
That's
Have
the
you had a
principle.
summer in here already?
Yeah, well, I came in here in December, so I had 2 or 3 months, and it worked really well.
That's great.
Only ever used the fan occasionally, the overhead fan,
Yeah.
just to circulate the air. I didn't really. I think there might have been a couple of 40-degree days that I might have put on for a little while when I came in for 10 minutes or something, the air conditioner, and then turned it off.
That's such a low amount of use, isn't it?
I love the idea of waking up in the morning and looking out, or sleeping at night and seeing the whole panorama of stars. So I'm up in the tree canopy, so I can see the stars and the moon. I look out over the animals and over the vineyard. So it's a great sort of.
It's lovely, isn't it? It's private
180
because
degree.
no one's looking in, and yet
No.
you've got complete views.
That's right.
This is so great. I remember one of the things Fred was worried about was that when you lift that roof, the angle here means that this window is set to an angle that's not upright. It's slightly that way.
Yep.
And he fussed about it for
Yes.
a long time.
Yes,
But
yes.
I think his main concern was that it sheds water.
Yes,
So I
exactly.
guess I want to ask you, is it shedding
Oh,
water?
completely.
Yeah,
There's no
great.
problem at all.
He'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah. And of course, when we look out down here at the awning, I went with that half clear polycarbonate.
Great. I love it how you can use a lot of the solar passive principles, even
Yeah,
though you're not
yeah.
relying on thermal mass or
Yeah.
anything like that, which is what a lot of solar passive designs are
That's
built on.
right.
But you can still use the sunlight and
You
the
can.
airflow.
You can. The floor's insulated, the walls are insulated, the roof's insulated, the whole place has been really heavily insulated, so that helps as well. One of the things about tiny houses is the size of the roof is very difficult to collect water
Yeah.
to be self-sustaining.
Yeah.
So you really need a big roof space.
Yeah.
So this is a farm shed that I'm able to collect water off with an electric pump which pumps it in, and that's all my water usage is out of that tank. The other one I'm still working on is to capture all my grey water. I want to collect that especially for my garden,
Yeah, great.
because I'm collecting my waste from my composting toilet,
Yeah.
and I'm also recycling all my food waste,
Yeah.
green waste. You compost from your toilet. It can't be used on vegetable gardens, but it can be used on fruit trees.
Okay, great.
And so I have 2 big composting bins that it will be just for the toilet waste.
Yeah, great.
And that will stay for a year, and then I will use it on fruit trees.
Yeah, great. Awesome. It's beautiful, Jim. What a great outcome.
I feel blessed. I feel very lucky
Yeah, great.
that for me it's worked out really well. I mean, I love coming home, and of course, COVID has really tests you, about living in a confined space.
Yeah, you've been at home and during lockdowns in a small space.
But because it's so open to nature, I don't feel it's confined. My option at my age would have been to get some sort of boxy little apartment, and I would have been really unhappy. Where I feel like I'm on a boat or something. It gives you that same sort of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's gorgeous. Thanks so much for showing us everything, Jim. It's
Pleasure,
a pleasure
Shannon.
to see
Pleasure,
it.
and thank you
So
for
good.
helping with the design of the place.
You're welcome. It was fun to work with you.
I really, really love the building principles that goes behind this place that you and Fred have developed.
I'm really proud of this. I think it's a great design.
I think it's a good design. It could be a good design for a lot of people.
So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode seeing Jim's house. His plans are available for sale with a tiny house trailer. All of Fred's tiny house trailers and designs are made as one, so if you're going to get the design, it's a good idea to get the matching trailer. So you can head over to the trailer quote request option there, and you can add the design to that quote request and we'll send it to you. So just pop over to the podcast where we get to talk to Jim about his journey of deciding to go tiny and what it was like to work with a builder. I hope you get heaps out of that too. Stay candid.